The Baltimore Ravens schedule just dropped. I just turned the camera on. I'm going to go through week by week. I know you guys probably already know the schedule, but I'm going to give my first reaction and initial thoughts to each week. So let's start with week 1, and it is the Buffalo Bills on the road, Sunday Night Football. So the rumor was true. I heard about this rumor earlier. This is the only game that I actually kind of knew was going to happen. I talked about it in the video a little bit earlier today. But man, rematch on the road to start the season. It's a banger of a game. The NFL did this to us back to back. You know, last year we lost to the Chiefs and then opened up against the Chiefs in Kansas City. Then we lose to the Bills, and now we're opening up against the Bills. But I'm going to give the Ravens a win in this game. I think they win this rematch. I think they're a better team than Buffalo. I know Buffalo beat us in the playoffs, but we had an absolute turnover meltdown, and I think the Ravens are very well equipped to beat the Buffalo Bills. So win in week 1. Moving on to week 2, home opener against the Cleveland Browns, 1 o'clock. This is definitely a dub. I don't think the Browns are as good as they've been in recent years. Not that they were good last year either, but I just don't think that they have a good competitive quarterback situation, and the Ravens home opener, they're not going down. Moving on to week 3, we got the Lions at home, Monday Night Football. Monday Night Football in Baltimore. Let's go. It finally happens. We've been waiting for a Monday Night Football game in Baltimore, and the Ravens got one against the Lions. This is a tough start to the season. This is definitely not going to be an easy game, but I don't think the Ravens are losing in Baltimore primetime Monday night. Even though the Lions got a great team, I think this would be an incredible game. This is an exciting game. The Ravens got 2 really exciting primetime games to start the year with the Bills and then the Lions in week 3. But I'm giving the Ravens a win in this game. I don't think it'll be easy, but Monday Night Football in Baltimore, there's no way they lose. So I got them starting out 3-0. Moving on to week 4. Jeez, man, we got the Chiefs in week 4 on the road, 4:25 game. The NFL is stacking the Ravens' early schedule. The Ravens better be ready to play right out the gate, because we got Bills, Lions, Chiefs in the first few weeks. Man, okay. This is another tough game, obviously, on the road. I'm going to say the Ravens lose this game. Not that we can't beat the Chiefs. I think we'll beat the Chiefs when it matters in the playoffs. But just doing a win-loss prediction, I don't think the Ravens are going undefeated, and this is a gauntlet of a schedule to start here. So I'm going to say they lose a close game on the road in Kansas City. Everyone's talking about how we can't beat the Chiefs, and then we go to the playoffs and beat the Chiefs. That's kind of how I see this playing out. So I got the Ravens starting 3-1. I'll say that they drop to the Chiefs on the road in week 4. Moving on to week 5. Man, the Texans. Okay, I mean, the NFL is putting our most difficult games to start this year. We got the Texans in week 5 at home, 1 o'clock game. The Ravens have to start fast this year. I mean, there is no room for error. These are a bunch of difficult games in the first 5 weeks. I can't believe that the NFL put all these games in the first 5 weeks. But I'm going to say that the Ravens respond and beat the Texans at home. We've done really well against the Texans these last few years. So I'm going to say that the Ravens win at home, coming off of a loss, and they go to 4-1. So moving on to week 6, another home game, 1 o'clock against the Los Angeles Rams. This is not an easy game either. I think that the Ravens are definitely better than the Rams, but the Rams got Devontae Adams. They just extended Stafford. They've played us tough before. That Baltimore Rams game 2 years ago where Tylan Wallace took it back to the house for the win, that game was insane, man. The Rams were scoring left and right. That was one of Matt Stafford's best games that I've seen, and this is not an easy game either. I'm going to say the Ravens win this game, though, and got us starting 5-1. Moving on to week 7, we got a bye week. This is a little earlier than I would want a bye week. You never really know what's going on. If we have some early injuries in the season, then this bye week could help us. But ideally, with a 18-week season, you don't have a bye week in week 7. I guess it's kind of the middle of the season, but I'm used to having bye weeks a little bit later, and they've really helped us these past few years, having that bye week in week 11, 12, last year 14. Week 7 feels a little early, but it is what it is, man. You can't choose the schedule, so this is what we're dealing with. So moving on to week 8, we're at home still against the Bears, 1 o'clock game. I got us getting this win. I think the Bears are a really talented young team. I think they got a bright future. I do like Caleb Williams. He's got a ton of weapons now. They just went out and got Burden in the draft, Loveland in the draft. They already got a Dunze, DJ Moore. I think the Bears are building something really exciting, but the Ravens are getting this win, especially coming off the bye. So that means we're starting 6-1, moving on to week 9, Thursday night, on the road in Miami. Let's go. I like this. I went to a Thursday night game in Miami a few years ago, and it was awesome, man. I just did a little Miami trip. One of my buddies is a Miami Dolphins fan, so I went down to Miami, went to the Thursday night game. We ended up losing the game. The game absolutely sucked. It was that game that they were just blitzing Lamar Jackson the entire game, and we couldn't even play offense. But I had a good time in Miami is what I was saying. It was a fun trip. So maybe I'll end up doing that again. This is a cool game, but I'm giving the Ravens a win on the road, Thursday night football in Miami. We play a lot better in prime time. I think the Ravens are the better team. So that has us going to 7-1, which would be a hell of a start to the season. Moving on to week 10, we got a road game against the Vikings, 1 o'clock. This is an interesting game. I feel like we don't really ever play the Vikings, so I don't have a lot of memories of Ravens Vikings, at least recent memories, but Vikings got another exciting team. Who knows what JJ McCarthy is going to be in the NFL? I think that's a huge factor to how good the Vikings are going to be. They got a really good defense. They obviously have a bunch of good skill weapons with Justin Jefferson and Addison, and they just drafted Felton and Aaron Jones at running back, Hawkinson at tight end. If McCarthy's solid, they're going to have a really good team. I think this is going to be a tough game for sure. I'm going to say that we win this game, though, against a rookie quarterback. I don't think it'll be easy, though, in Minnesota against a team we don't see very often, but that could benefit Lamar Jackson and the Ravens offense, too, because usually when we go against defenses that haven't seen us very often, we do really well. So I'm going to give us a win there, which has us starting the season at 8-1, which I hope is true. So moving on to week 11, we're on the road against Cleveland at 425. I'm calling it now. I think we sweep the Browns this year. I think we run through most of the division this year. I'm just not high on the Browns at all. I know they played us tough last year. They beat us in Cleveland with Jameis Winston. But when you really dissect that game, Marlon Humphrey was out of the game. Nate Wiggins was out of the game. And our safeties were getting absolutely torched. And we dropped multiple interceptions in that game. I'm not making excuses for the loss. We definitely deserved the loss. But we really have no business with a healthy squad losing to Cleveland. So I'm not going to sit here and predict injuries. Anything could happen. That's why this is way too early win-loss. But I'm giving us a win on the road against the Browns, which means we have officially swept the Browns and we have played both of our Cleveland games through week 11, and that moves our record to 9-1 to start the season. Moving on to week 12, we have the New York Jets at home, 1 o'clock game. This is another win, man. This is definitely a win. I think that they made some interesting moves getting Justin Fields. I like Garrett Wilson a lot and Breece Hall. I just think that they have a lot of holes on their team. I don't think they're going to be insanely competitive this year, and home game for the Ravens, 1 o'clock. They should take care of business and get this win. So that has them starting the season 10-1. Moving on to week 13, we have, this is Thanksgiving. So we play Thanksgiving night against the Cincinnati Bengals in Baltimore. That's awesome. We have been playing a lot of holiday games these past few years, but that's just because the Ravens are a really good team. They're a highly watched team. They're an exciting team. So looks like we're going to be stressing a little bit on Thanksgiving night. This is a tough game. I was at the Thursday night game last year against the Bengals, one of the craziest games of my life, just a back and forth shootout. I think the Ravens defense will be better. I don't think the Bengals defense is better. Their offense is obviously explosive and dangerous. I might have us losing one of the games against the Bengals, but it's going to be the one in Cincinnati. I don't have us losing Thanksgiving night in Baltimore. So I'm giving us a win again, which is a crazy start to the season. We would be starting 11-1. That's insane. Moving on to week 14, we have a home game against Pittsburgh. So we're going to be playing a chunk of division games in this back end because the only teams up to this point before the Bengals last week was the Browns earlier in the season. So a lot of our Bengals-Steelers games are going to be played at the very end of the season, it seems like. I got us getting a win at home against Pittsburgh. You know, who knows if they get Aaron Rodgers or what move they make, but I don't think they're going to have strong quarterback play this year. Their defense is definitely, you know, a problem and is always plays us tough, but I think we kind of cracked the code a little bit last year. The game in Pittsburgh didn't seem like that earlier in the season, but then we had back-to-back games against Pittsburgh where we just ran all over them, and the Ravens they should be better, honestly, this year, bringing back a lot of the same guys. So I got us getting a win against the Steelers, which moves us to 12-1. At this point, we would be in comfortable first place of the AFC probably and headed to our first round bye. So that would be absolutely insane. But moving on to week 15, we are on the road against the Bengals, 1 o'clock. I'm just going to give the Ravens a loss in this game. You know, I think that if we're going to lose to anyone in our division, I think maybe the Bengals can just outscore us one game and we make a couple mistakes. We're obviously probably going to lose more than one game anyway that I had predicted in this game. It's just hard, man. I mean, when you look at the matchups on paper, the Ravens should win every game. So it's tough. It's tough to hand out losses, but you know the way we'll end up losing will be so random, and we'll have injuries that we just can't control, and things just happen. That's why this is way too early loss predictions. But I think we could lose one game to the Bengals. So I'm going to say we lose this game in week 15, which then takes our record to 12-2. Heading into week 16. We are at home against the Patriots, 1 o'clock. I think the Patriots are also building exciting foundation. They should be excited about what they've got going over there. And as long as Drake May ends up really working out. But the Vrabel signing was awesome. Getting Henderson in the draft is big. You know, they got Stephon Diggs. We'll see how that works out. I think the quarterback play is driving a lot of their success, but I still don't think they're ready. I think they're a young team, kind of like the Bears. And I think the Ravens in Baltimore, 1 o'clock game, are going to take care of business. So I got us getting a win in week 16, which takes our record to 13-2. And then week 17, we play the Packers, and it says to be determined. I guess the date and time is to be determined, so who knows? But that is a tough game, honestly. On the road in Lambeau, very end of the season, it is going to be super cold. That is not an easy place to play. I'm going to give the Ravens a loss here as well. I feel like I probably didn't give the Ravens as many losses throughout this schedule, and I think that they could definitely drop a game to the Packers. I would not be shocked if that game ends up being on primetime, but it says to be determined right now. It's at least going to be a 4 o'clock game. I mean, that's a showdown at the end of the season in Green Bay. I'm going to give the Ravens a loss here, which has us at 13-3. Heading into week 18, we play at Pittsburgh to finish the season. That date and time is also to be determined. I think if we have to bench some starters, you know, if we're in a really comfortable position, then we might lose that game for sure. But if we need to win that game, if we're playing everybody and we're healthy, I think we sweep Pittsburgh this year. I think we sweep Cleveland. So I got the Ravens getting a win in week 18 to finish off the season and to finish off an incredible record if this is how it goes, and that would be 14-3. I think that's a really optimistic prediction, you know, like just saying that number out loud. I'm like, that might be like the ceiling, you know, but I wouldn't be surprised if we go 13-4 or even 12-5. I think those are reasonable predictions. We're definitely going to drop a game here and there that we didn't expect them to drop for whatever reason. But either way, I think that the Ravens should take care of business this season and have a really strong, successful season. Couple overall takeaways. I don't love having the bye in week 7. That's definitely earlier than I would like to have a bye. And I think the main takeaway is the first 6 weeks of this schedule leading into that bye is pretty brutal. I mean, we have all of our division games late, which are not easy, but we have basically the best possible teams we're playing in the first month and a half of the season, most of them. So really, really tough schedule. The Ravens need to be firing on all cylinders week 1. I don't think they're going to need much extra motivation, going to Buffalo for the rematch. That's actually kind of sick the more I think about it. So, solid schedule overall. Don't love the bye week. Don't really love how hard the start is, but if the Ravens can plow through it, which I know they can, but if they do and come out of it with a good record, then they're going to be better for it. You know what I mean? I just hope that they're ready week 1. Sometimes we come out and look a little sloppy and we don't really hit our stride till like the second half of the season. Most of our dominant seasons, we weren't really like firing on all cylinders till like week 8. So I just don't want to get out to a slow start. I don't think we will. We have a lot of continuity coming back, a lot of the coaching staff's coming back. I really don't think there's much reason for the Ravens to get off to a slow start, but it's just more important than ever that they can't this year because the schedule's stacked. I mean, we're facing a lot of the contending teams in the AFC in the first month and a half. So definitely an interesting start. We got a lot of primetime games. Playing on Thanksgiving is super cool in Baltimore. Getting the Monday Night Football home game against the Lions, that's a crazy game. Not easy, but it's just awesome that we get a Monday Night Football game in Baltimore. So I'm glad the schedule's finally out. Let me know what you guys are thinking about the schedule. What's your win-loss predictions? Which games do you think are most exciting or what you're most excited for? What's your schedule takeaways overall? Let me know. Appreciate you guys, as always, for tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your night, and I'll let the greatest linebacker in the history of the game take us out.
Ravens Flock. The Flock Rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. The Flock Rundown. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.